everyone. Thank you for coming out on this rainy night. My name is Maren Setterquist. I'm president of Willow Glen Neighborhood Association. I want to thank my fellow board members who are also here tonight. Trudy McCanna was welcoming you in the lobby. We have Pierluigi Oliverio here. And we have Jose Salcido, my executive vice president here. Also in the lobby, we have Helen Hutchings, another board member. I wanted to start out by thanking the Baha'i Center and Vida for opening up the place for us each time. It's been lovely to have a consistent place to hold our meetings, so thank you. Unfortunately, the recycling program could not make it tonight, so we will have them in the beginning of the year, but we have lots of other great guest speakers tonight. So we've got the Councilmember's office, Jessica Hellman, the Community Relations Coordinator, and our Policy and Legislative Aide, Joey Mauro here. Then we'll hear from Stephen Sibley, who is representing the Willow Glen Business Association and the Community Foundation. Then we'll get a safety update from our Captain Tran. And our headliner tonight is St. Clair County's Trust Program, and they work with mental health and substance abuse in the county. So they'll be here by 7 or so to be able to give us a presentation. So we'll go ahead and get started. I will invite Joey and Jessica.
Hello everyone. I feel like I just was here. I have a couple updates. As you can tell, Lincoln Avenue resurfacing, the final striping has been delayed due to the wet weather. The department isn't exactly sure what date it will be completed, but I will be sure to share that with you, Maren, once I get it. We have a spring intern application open if you know of any college students or mature high school seniors. You can find that on the link tree. It's also posted on our social media if you want to share it with anyone that you know that might be interested. We're a pretty cool team, but I'm all biased, so. Joe, you want to?
Sure. We've received a few emails about, I'm sure many of you are aware of the 940 Willow planning director's hearing that's going to happen December 3rd on Wednesday. We just wanted to share an update from our end, from the council office's end. Our office understands how unsettling and frustrating the situation is. As you know, the Councilmember as a candidate was very closely connected to the community on the issue last year, and was hopeful that the state legislature would come to its senses and continue to not allow developers to bypass local laws. Our office understands that Willow Glen is a community that cares deeply about its character, its streets, and its sense of place, and we hear that loud and clear. Your concerns about building high traffic infrastructure and how this project fits into the neighborhood are completely understandable. Here's what's happening. The builder's remedy is a state law. It's not a city policy. And under this law, when a city's housing element isn't certified by the state, which happened, I think, in 2023 or 2024, I don't remember off the top of my head. But developers can propose housing projects that don't follow most local zoning rules, as long as they include some section of affordable housing. Most of you might have known that, but that it isn't the harshest or the most frustrating part for our office and the community. Under California law, the city can't deny or stop these projects because of their size, height, density, or how they differ from local zoning. If a project meets state requirements for affordable housing and basic building and safety codes that exist, the city must process it. Trying to block a project for reasons not allowed under state law would very likely lead to lawsuits that the city can't win, and the state could impose penalties. Still, the city has some authority and responsibility to review each project for things like traffic safety, utilities, fire access, and construction impacts. And we also look for ways to work with developers to secure community benefits, things that can improve or support the neighborhood. But by law, we can only ask, not require, that they agree to these measures. We know this isn't the answer that the community is likely looking for. We have 6 of these projects in District 6, working their way through the system, and we acknowledge that not all are as challenging as this one specifically. But please understand the city is, and our office will be doing everything allowed under state law to protect the neighborhood, ensure safety, and push for responsible development.
Does anyone not know what he's talking about, like what project he's talking about?
It's one right across the street.
Right across the street, 7 stories. And it's all because of the state legislature.
Can you remind us how
we still want to
go into this?
We still have a few more updates and then they can take questions. Super sorry.
Yes, we have to sandwich that one into the rotation. Questions so you can think about it and ask your questions to Joey, not me. Okay, so Fire Station 6 landscaping. I think Councilmember brought this up last time we were here. We have a start date and anticipated working to kind of beautify the fire station in April. So that's really exciting. It definitely needs some attention and love, so that'll be fun. We've gotten a lot of questions and concerns, especially after Halloween, regarding holiday traffic in the neighborhood, Glen, right down Willow, and as well regarding unpermitted vendors. So we're working.
Sorry, what was that?
The holiday traffic, sort of Halloween, there's a lot of traffic around over there, and then with the Christmas lights, Willow Glen lights.
Yeah, just.
Sorry, my apologies. Yes, so the holiday lights, or the Willow Glen lights, as people call them. We know that it's a problem, and Councilmember is very concerned with the unpermitted vendors, and we're working with the police department and park rangers to get some targeted enforcement on the week or two after Thanksgiving, where it's kind of like the peak time. Yeah, we also have flyers prepared to be handing out to the unpermitted vendors to inform them that they must have permits to vend. That's kind of an ongoing thing too, as over the years, as we've all noticed, it's become a little bit more of an attraction. So we're anticipating to work closely with the police department to make sure that things go a little more smoothly.
Where are these vendors that you're talking about?
Usually they post up right on Brian Hall, like the park.
The park on Willow.
Oh, but they're also in our neighborhood streets. Yeah. Sure, they are. They're on the corner of Glen, maybe my husband, yeah, maybe Ken Tran can address that, because the city's been allowing these unpermitted vendors to be all over the city, and that's been going on for years. So
Yeah, it's something our office is focused on addressing specifically, so.
yeah, so now they've changed their stance and they're going to start enforcing non-permitted vendors.
I think it was always not allowed, but right now we have a council member who's pretty insistent on addressing the problem and increasing enforcement.
We'll have to have Ken talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
They might be in the same category as like fruit vendors, so I think it's whatever that policy is.
Hands off, yeah.
Okay, another update is that Mad Yolks on Willow, or on Meridian in Willow, is open. They're from Santa Cruz, and it's a really cool breakfast spot. I encourage you guys all to stop by. I have some upcoming events that are exciting. We have the National Women's Soccer League Fan Fest, because the championship game is being held at Hellman Stadium, which is really exciting. So the Fan Fest is going to be held at Creekside Socials. It's kind of like street closure, kind of a party in the streets, which is on San Fernando Street between Barack Obama Boulevard and Montgomery Street. We have something else that's really fun. Willow High School and Lincoln High School are playing each other in the semifinal CCS championships, which is pretty fun. If you have any Rams or Lions that you know that want to go support, we'll be there. Please go. There's a Columbus Park cleanup with the mayor's office on November 27th at 9 a.m. If you're interested in doing some community cleanup, they have a pretty cool squad that goes out there and does that pretty frequently. There's also a tree planting at Arena Green East on December 13th with the mayor's office as well. That's also at 9 a.m. And then the Willow tree lighting, December 4th at Willow Elementary School at 6 p.m. Now back to Joey, so you guys have some questions.
Okay, if you have questions, please raise your hand. I'll bring you the microphone. We do film the meetings for the evening, and that way anybody who's missed the meeting can hear what you have to say. So raise your hand if you have a question, comment. I'll bring you the microphone.
You mentioned this place that's being built here, and that it's through state legislation. That what can we do? Who can we contact? Because they're not aware of our community, obviously. Who do we contact and flood with emails, whatever? Because this is just unacceptable. Willow Glen is a beautiful place, and they're just doing their darndest to take that beauty away.
I would absolutely recommend talking to your state legislators. You have a state senator and then a state assemblyman. I'd recommend talking with them, letting them know the impact that it's having in our neighborhoods. This is a law they passed 2 years ago, and we're finally seeing the unfortunate impacts in San Jose.
And does that include these homes that they're building with the AD units?
This is separate from the ADU law specifically.
Okay.
ADU is a separate law that was passed
Okay.
a few years before that, but this is a specific law that related to the San Jose not meeting its housing element and not communicating with the state, apparently.
Oh, wow.
So this is, in short, I recommend talking to your state legislators.
Yeah, and 75% of the cities in California didn't comply. So it's don't say it's the city's fault, but it's really your state legislature representative's fault. Because they're the ones who passed the law to make it so punitive on neighbors.
It's builder's remedy. There has been a petition circulating to stop it. There's 1,500 signatures on it already. If you want to go to stop7story.com, you can find it there.
Okay, let me write that down.
Yeah. And I'll put it out in the next Willow Glen Neighborhood Association newsletter too, so you have information on that. So that'll come out later this week.
I have a question. What is our councilman's plan for the safety of the neighborhood with the holiday coming up? And you said that they're going to address it. How are you going to address that? And how are you going to address the vendors that are illegally selling things on our corners?
It's a lot of partnership with the police department and increased enforcement of those rules, which historically, as we've seen, hasn't been. I haven't specifically been in those rooms where the conversations are happening, so I don't know all the details of how and when and where. Hopefully, Captain Tran can answer some of those questions when it comes to enforcement. But yeah, increased patrolling of the areas typically, or is what I'm under the impression of how we're going to handle that situation going forward.
And do you plan on starting out with this December?
Yeah, that's what, definitely.
I was going to ask.
Was there a vote or something? How did we arrive at this thing with builder's remedy? How did we arrive? It was
The state legislature, both the Assembly and the Senate, so your state Assembly members, Gail Pellerin, your state senators, Dave Cortese, they have voted in numerous bills that have eroded cities' control on land use. So either you don't get a hearing at all, and neighbors can never voice their opinion at a public hearing, or it's a ceremonial thing that it goes to a hearing, not even at the city council level, but what they call the director's hearing, and people can speak, but the director is stuck because he cannot deny the project based on state law. If the city does deny it, the developer sues and gets legal fees, and so no city's gonna deal with a 7-figure settlement, so they just approve it.
okay. Thank you.
And just to give you an example, we had our state assembly member here last month, right? And she told us that she was opposing SB 79, which is a half-mile radius from a transit stop, and you can build like either 65 feet or 85 feet by right. And she said she opposed it. And then I said, that's interesting, you were absent for all 3 votes. And then she replied, oh, I'm sorry, I meant I abstained. I'm like, even worse, you were in the room and you didn't even bother to vote. And we, as a neighborhood association and the council member, both gave her a letter sharing our sentiment, but she just chose to sit there. I mean, I'm sorry, that's a little, at least vote one way or the other.
Well, and her city is excluded.
Yes, she represents Santa Cruz and San Jose, but Santa Cruz County is exempt.
Yeah, so she worked a deal with Wiener, who's the sponsor of that bill. And, yeah, he wrote that bill. And, Santa Cruz, the city of Santa Cruz is excluded, so
The
in
county
her
is
neighborhood.
Santa
Yeah, the county, yeah, full county. So her neighborhood won't be inundated with these high rises, but Willow Glen will be.
Is Santa Cruz excluded because they passed their housing element or for other reasons?
No, for other reasons. Technically, it was done at the state level where they exempted several counties where they needed the vote. So, for example, Marin County's exempt.
Wow.
Contra Costa County's exempt. Santa Barbara, you know, all these kind of affluent areas, and they wanted those votes, and they said, okay, we'll exempt your county.
So she worked a deal at our expense. That is Gail Pellerin, your assembly person. Keep that in mind when you vote.
I'm not sure if we brought up or not yet, but there's a proposal for 12 units on the corner of Kirtner and Cottle. It's probably a 3 house area. There's only one house right now, but it's 12 units to go up on that particular corner, with the entrance and exit being on Cottle. The school entrance and exit is going to be incredible. The density is just going to be amazing. A lot of neighbors in my area that are really upset about it, but having done nothing to say about it at all. It's just going to be 12 units, tall building, and there you are. So is that something that the council can look into, or?
I need to check specifically, that might also be part of the builder's remedy rules. I have to check in to see, but feel free to write to our office. I can do some more investigation work. That one's not going to come to here though. I don't think that'll come to a hearing within the next year or so. That one's going to be later. This one that's happening is having the hearing December 3rd.
Okay, thank you.
So you can reach the council member's office right there, District 6, the San Jose, ca.gov, and that reaches most of them on the team, so.
I'll probably be the one to email back.
There you go. Any other questions for the council member's office?
I just want to.
Yeah.
So
Is it transparency who these developers are?
Yes,
Do we know?
absolutely. All the information is on that Stop 7-Story
Okay.
website.
All
Yeah,
right.
it has all their names. You can call them and email them,
Well, I would
bombard
never
them.
Mary, I have a question for you on that petition. So what is it that you think you can accomplish with all these signatures? What do you hope to accomplish with that petition, because you are facing builder's remedy? Ultimately, what will it come down to? Will there have to be some kind of injunction or lawsuit to prevent the building of that high-rise?
So the petition was started 2 years ago when we thought we could stop it. We now realize there's nothing we can do. So with the director's hearing Wednesday, the best thing we can do probably is ask for changes in design for the building plans, the layout, the ingress, egress, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we don't do anything else.
All right.
It's very frustrating.
I'm sure.
Okay, thank you guys. I'll let you get off the posse. Okay, before we go to Captain Tran for some more hard questions, we're going to give you a little intermission here for some wonderful news from Steve Sibley, who is a board member of the Willow Glen Business Association and has helped start the Willow Glen Community Foundation. So I'll invite Stephen to come on up and tell you all about it.
Thanks very much, Mayor. Thank you all. Good evening, and thanks for coming on. Yes, I appreciate the opportunity. I am a longtime resident of Willow Glen. I am not from here. I only came across Willow Glen by accident. I worked in downtown San Jose, new kid from the Midwest, took a wrong turn. Wound up by Elite Cleaners with that cool sign. It was a cleaner night. I thought, wow, what is this place? I mean, everything I'm used to seeing about Willow Glen, it's all about the car. You know, at least where I was living. Well, this is not about the car and this neighborhood. And so what I came to value about that is that there were people walking. There were, dogs and bikes and stuff. And I thought, okay, this is kind of where I was from, small town Midwest. And so here I am. I stayed. I tried to leave twice. But so much for the clutches of Willow Glen, right? It just grabs you and keeps you, like all of us. So I became a volunteer, like all of us. We're interested in the community. Sometimes we wonder whether we should volunteer at all. But we know inside, we don't need someone to tell us. We don't need recognition about this. We know that the reason why we're here is because we care. And we hope and know that other people in this community care as well. And just from your comments recently, that's what we have here. And so I've been on the Willow Glen Business Association for 8 years. As you know, we get money from the city, we maintain Lincoln Avenue, we have fundraisers, we try to fund needed infrastructure and other improvements that the city budget just does not have. However, we're limited because, like you, the Business Association is a membership organization. So we have a group of people that are like-minded, like neighbors, like business, and they do what they can, but they don't necessarily get a large advantage that the Willow Glen Community Foundation now has. We get tax deductions. So you donate to the Willow Glen Community Foundation, you get a tax deduction. And regardless of what you think about the current occupant of the White House, the tax law was modified to get a better tax break on a charitable contribution. So that has helped us. And so what is it that we want to do? Well, we want to make this place as good as it is and better. We want to be part of the community. All the funds that we obtain not only are tax deductible, but will not leave this community. They will be used for all of Willow Glen. We're not just here for the Business Association, we're here for the neighborhood, we're here for the places of faith like this institution, we're here for the schools, where we hope to be able to fund a wide range of programs from infrastructure, such as the lighting situation in downtown Willow Glen, possible places where people can take their strollers. We want to be a stroller-friendly neighborhood. We want people to be able to park their strollers. We want people to be able to do whatever they want to do with their strollers, because strollers are a good thing. And we also want the community safe. We want people to not be in fear. We want people to be able to talk to each other. We want people to be able to enjoy this place as we do, because we come here to live and work and be. And so to protect and benefit this beautiful place of earth, some of us in the Business Association decided to form the Community Foundation. And again, our sole missions are to help the community in whatever way we can. And so once we get those tax deductible donations, then we want to reach out to the community and see where it can do the most good. So that's why I'm here. I think that's why you're here. In fact, the Business Association and the Neighborhood Association, the most logical outcome of their combining is really the Community Foundation. Can you finally hear me now? Yes. Someone say, get it close to your mouth for being said. We're excited at this. We recently finished the commission of drone footage over downtown Willow Glen, the neighborhood, and it is cool. I mean, it brought a tear in my eye. It's fantastic. That'll be posted on our website, WGCF.net.
It's right behind you.
And it's right behind me. Yes, that's our website. That looks great. Gosh, it almost looks as good as the other website here. The Neighborhood Foundation, Neighborhood Association has one of these too. Anyway.
Business Association.
Yeah. So again, appreciate the time. This is something that I hope that all of us will be hearing about a lot. Hopefully we'll see signs. Another project that is partnered by the Willow Glen Community Foundation. And so we're looking for people like you, like me, like those who are walking around on this rainy night, to help us keep this place what it is and more. So, thanks very much. And if you brought checks or money, great. But please go to WGC. I'm kidding. I mean, you know, if you have the time, the inclination, I think you will. I do. Because this is a good place to spend our time and spend our money. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Okay, before we do our headline topic for this evening, I did want to let you know we have another meeting coming up in just a few weeks, Tuesday, December 2nd. We have gotten our county assessor assessor finalists to come and do a forum here. 6:30 p.m. we'll start our meeting, give some neighborhood updates again, and then at 7 p.m. Nisa Fligor and Rishi Kumar will be here doing a forum moderated by our board member, Pierluigi Oliverio. So I hope you'll come out for that, Tuesday, December 2nd at 6:30.
And Marin,
Yes.
just so everyone knows, that election is December 30th. It's really odd, and you might even have your absentee ballot by that time.
Yeah, Tony.
Is that a replacement for Larry Stone?
Yes.
Correct, yes. Larry Stone retired before his term ended, and that's why we're having this election. Okay, up next we have Jessica Luna and Caitie Gonzalez from Santa Clara County's Trust Program. And they're going to talk to you about what they do for mental health and substance abuse. Thank you so much for being here tonight. So if you just want to click this, that'll move you forward. This goes backwards to the point.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having us here. My name is Caitie.
And my name is Jessica.
And we are here from Trust. So if you've never heard of Trust, we're the Trusted Response Urgent Support Team. We are the county's largest mobile crisis response program. We're 24/7, 365, so whenever somebody needs our help in the community, we're available to them over the phone or in person with one of our field teams. So now I'm gonna let you know a little background, let's get into it. So how did Trust come to be? In 2020, there were a lot of social justice movements happening, and our community wanted to be able to call someone that wasn't the police to be able to help with these mental health crises that are going on. So in the spring of 2021, the plan for the program was approved, and in fall of 2021, we had a logo contest. And if you look at that logo, it's two hands reaching out for each other. You don't know who's reaching out to who, but the point is the connections being made, and that's where it all starts with our program. Then in the summer of 2022, the program was soft launched, and we've been going strong ever since. And the biggest thing about Trust is that we're for the community and by the community. And you'll see that from the beginning all the way to today, the way we operate.
So to put into perspective where Trust lies when it comes to the other mental health crisis programs throughout the county, there's actually 4 mobile programs, which essentially means that those teams go to the location of the client to provide that de-escalation support. Trust is the lowest form of intervention, which essentially means that we focus a lot on the prevention focus when it comes to mental health, substance use, or any other type of crisis that can be getting access to food or housing or any other type of safety net. And like Caitie mentioned, we are very much community-based, and we do have a non-law enforcement approach when it comes to that. However, in situations where the trust team would deem that safety could be of risk, then we do activate law enforcement only for the benefit of the client and for ourselves. We do have 4 mobile response teams all throughout the county, and the idea really is to minimize the wait time, because if someone is going through a crisis or having a really difficult time that they're going through, it's difficult to wait 5, 10, or maybe even more minutes than that. So having 4 teams throughout the county ensures that our team arrives on scene within and under 30 minutes. And then we do have 3 other programs that are throughout the county. We have MCRT, which is essentially assessing a client for a 5150, which is a 72-hour involuntary hold. And that is the main difference between Trust and MCRT. Trust provides support for any type of crisis that is before a 5150. And MRSS is essentially like Trust and MCRT put together, but specifically for adolescents ages 4 to 20. And all the way at the top, we do have PERT. PERT is activated only through 911 calls, and it is for the most acute types of crises. Unfortunately, they are disbanding at the end of the year due to a few reasons. However, since they are still active, we do want to continue to sing their praises and let folks know that they are still around. And there are a few activation examples here on the board. We also will be sharing these slides with you all, but this essentially gives a few examples of the types of calls that Trust provides support to and situations where it might be out of our scope. And if a crisis happens to be out of our scope, really that ends up entailing or being that escalating to a different and higher program is going to best support that client for their de-escalation. And at the end of the day, our main focus is to stabilize our clients in community. And so if that means escalating to MCRT, if they really need that support, then that is something that the Trust team would do. So for example, Trust provides support in situations of minor distress where there's no danger to self or others. This can include suicidal ideation. We have had folks that have suicidal ideation and our team is able to support them with that. However, if there is a means or a plan to enact that intent, then at that point, most likely the Trust team is going to escalate that to MCRT.
And so what is the purpose of Trust? So we have staff who are specially trained to assist people who are having a mental health, substance abuse, or behavioral health crisis. That could mean maybe you're too stressed out, maybe you're anxious, you just need to talk to someone. We're here to support you through that. Maybe you need connections to food, to housing, to whatever that might be in the community. We're gonna do our absolute best to connect you to the appropriate resources and make sure that you get the help within the community that you need. We provide over the phone or in-person support and de-escalation. So if you want that face-to-face interaction, we can come out with one of our field teams. And our field team is gonna be able to assess the situation and see what's going on. In the next slide, I'll give you a little breakdown of who we have on those teams, but they're well-trained and able to handle these types of calls. We do transportation to alternative locations that will support the individual's crisis. So a couple locations we go to are the Crisis Stabilization Unit and then the Sobering Center as well. We operate 24/7, 365, including holidays. So with holidays coming up, it can be hard for some people, maybe that's family troubles, maybe you're isolated, maybe you don't have a support system. We're here for you 24/7, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 6 p.m., whatever time, we're here for you. And then in addition to the transportation, we only transport if it's gonna support the client. So we can't go to McDonald's or Denny's, but we're more than happy to, again, take you to somewhere that's gonna support you in that time. And then a little bit about what our team looks like. So overall as a program, we are run through Pacific Clinics and Momentum for Health, and we have our call center team and our field team. So in the call center, we have our program managers, our peer specialists, paraprofessionals, and then on the field team, we have a first aid professional. So that's going to be someone who operates under the scope of Red Cross First Aid, and that's because not all mental health crises are mental health crises. It could be your blood sugar's too low from your diabetes. It could be something else, we don't know, but by having a first aid professional, they're gonna be able to determine that and make sure that if we need to escalate to EMS, you're gonna get that support. So again, it's all about that well-rounded care that we provide. And then we have crisis intervention specialists, which is similar to a rehab counselor, and peer outreach specialists. So these individuals have lived experience, trained experience. They're able to know how to de-escalate. And I really love to sing the praises of our field team because they go into these situations and they don't always know the full picture based on what we're getting. So we've had people who, need to think on the spot, need to know how to react in a second's moment, and they're able to do that. We support them through that. We also have access to on-call leadership. So if a situation does arise that we need support, we're able to get that support. As Jessica mentioned, MCRT is the team that will do the 5150s. However, if there's a situation where they're not able to get to us in time, we can initiate it. We don't like to because it breaks the trust with our clients. Imagine you called us 5 times, and on that 5th time, you finally want to get services from us and get that help, and then we go and we 5150. That breaks all the trust that we just spent all this time building and creating with those clients. So it's really important for us that we continue to de-escalate and know when to back off and know when to escalate to other programs.
So this slide is a good picture of displaying what it looks like when a crisis happens and kind of how that moves through the pipeline of calling either our direct line or calling 988, having the field team come out, and then getting a follow-up. So if y'all have heard about 988, 988 is a nationwide suicide prevention hotline. And 988 is great at providing mental health support, particularly for suicidal ideation. However, 988 is only a call center. They do not have an in-person field team. And 988 is a different program than Trust. Trust is specifically for Santa Clara County. And we do like to encourage folks to call our direct Trust number for a few reasons. One of them being if you have a phone number where the area code is not from Santa Clara County, let's say it's a Chicago area code, and you're calling 988 to get to Trust, it's gonna geo-route you to your area code. So it's gonna take you over to the 988 information at Chicago, which is what you don't want if you're trying to get to Trust. Another reason why we encourage folks to call our direct number is to minimize the wait time. Because 988 is trying to figure out what is the best support that they can give. And so they're going to do a triage, which essentially means that they're assessing for immediate risk or danger for an individual, particularly for that suicidal ideation or homicidal ideation. And so they're going to be asking a lot of questions, those safety questions. Trust Call Center also does the same. So if you know you want to get in touch with us, we encourage you to call our direct line, and then that also reduces wait time.
I just want to interrupt and ask, because we were told by Supervisor Ellenberg to call 988, but every time that I called 988, then they end up transferring me to Trust to have someone come out. So what is the direct way to get in touch with Trust as opposed to 988?
Yeah, so our phone number is 408-596-7290. Caitie and I also did bring a lot of outreach materials that, for example, little poster cards or pocket cards. These are really helpful because they have a little bit of information about the program and has our direct number as well as that 988 number. So while you can call either or, to get in touch with us, it's a bit simpler to just call our direct number, but in theory, yes, 988 can transfer your number or your call to us. And then, regardless of who you call, the idea is that they can get in touch, they can get you in touch with us, and then from there, once you're talking with our Trust Call Center team, they're going to triage and then also continue assessing the situation. And let's say you request the field team to come out in person, our call center team can continue de-escalating and providing support over the phone in the meantime that our team gets there. There are situations where let's say there's a crisis happening in a family home and the parent has called for the child, their adult child. There have been times where the parents are actually able to pass over the phone to their adult child, where now the client who needs that support is now speaking directly with the call center and then getting that de-escalation, which is great. And then once our field team arrives, typically within and under 30 minutes, of course they're going to ensure that the client does want to receive services. Since this is a program that is 18 years and older, it is voluntary, so in the instance that an individual does not want to accept support, they're declining, that is okay. It does take multiple times for folks to receive support due to stigma or fear, whatever it may be. And so before our field team walks away, we make sure to provide them with information about our program and let them know that we are available 24/7 over the phone and in person. And if they do accept services, our field team, of course, is going to de-escalate, and once the client is stabilized, our team creates a safety plan with them, which includes a few different things, like, for example, triggers of what led them to feel this way, so that in the future, if they happen to feel that way again, they're able to troubleshoot and use some of the coping mechanisms and skills that are in that safety plan, as well as including safe spaces or individuals to call and reach out to when they start to feel a bit triggered. And so lastly, before our field team walks away, we ask the client if they would like a follow-up, which is optional, and it can be over the phone or in person. The idea for the follow-up really is to go over and revisit that safety plan and to make any tweaks if needed. And this is really important because our team wants to make sure that the plans that we're creating are accessible and are realistic for our clients to better support them in community and reduce trauma overall.
So just a few key points to remember from our presentation. You can use us by calling 988 or our direct line 408-596-7290. We have 4 field teams, so that way we can minimize those wait times throughout the county. We operate all the way from North County down to South County, so anywhere in the county, we can get to you. And the great thing about our program is that it's 18 and up, and you don't have to necessarily be a resident of Santa Clara County. As long as you're in the county itself, you can access our program. So for example, we have students down at Glen College who are from Hollister, and they travel to Gilroy to go get their education. If they need our support while they're in Gilroy, they can call us and use our program. We're available 24/7, 365. Some of our main transportation locations are the Mental Health Urgent Care, Crisis Stabilization Unit, and Mission Street Recovery Center. We are little to no cost, and we say little to no cost because if we have to escalate to EMS, that's going to be a bill associated with them, but not with the trust program itself. And then a little bit about what Jessica and I do. We are the community collaborators here in the trust program. Our community advocated for this position to be able to have a middle person to communicate with the community and then communicate with our program. So that way we're that middleman, we're the link between everyone, and we make sure everyone's needs are met. And if there's a new place we need to go to, if there's a situation we need to address, whatever it might be, we're here to get that connection going. We do report back to our community advisory board where we share our data, our insights, and we get feedback from them as well. So that way we're able to, again, better our program and ensure that it's for the community and by the community. And Jessica and I do outreach all across Santa Clara County. We're going down to South County doing events up in, San Jose, West Valley, everywhere we can get to, we're going. Because we really want to make sure that people have these resources. Life is hard enough, and we're just here to ease the troubles that you're going through, really be there for you. We are a community and we all stand together and we're able to really support everyone with our program. If you ever want to contact us, here are Jessica and I's information. We do San Jose, West Valley, and South County. We have Momentum who covers North County, but we can always get you in touch with the appropriate people if you need. We are so thankful that y'all are able to let us present tonight because the more that we can get these resources out, the more that we can support our community, the better we're going to get. And we only want to get stronger from here. So if you ever have any questions, concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're more than happy to answer, to help, whatever that might be. And when in doubt, call Trust. Because whatever it is, we can help navigate and get you to the right people, or we can go out and assist. So we're always here for you 24/7. We're just a call away. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Caitie and Jessica. Do we have any questions in the audience for them? Okay.
Here, why don't you keep this so you can answer your question?
Where do your finances come from? Who supports you financially?
So the program is funded through the county's behavioral health department, and then it is run through 2 different nonprofits, Pacific Clinics and Momentum for Health. Caitie and I are on the Pacific Clinics team.
Oh. And how long is the training for a person who gets involved with your program? Is it vary?
It does vary. I would say a minimum of about 3 months, and even then, our team is always consistently getting new trainings, whether that's like on the state level or county level. So we always want to make sure we're getting culturally relevant training and services.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other organizations, like you said, suicide prevention hotline? If the person calls that hotline and says they want to be directed to trust, will they immediately direct them?
Yes, in theory, yes. There have been instances where we have gotten feedback that an individual has called 988 and for one reason or another they weren't transferred to trust. That might be due to the information that the 988 call center received, which is why we encourage folks to call trust directly.
And what if somebody calls trust and you determine that whatever their situation is doesn't fit into the makeup of trust? What's the protocol for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So trust provides support for any type of crisis that is before a 5150. So that can be minor distress all the way to suicidal or homicidal ideation with no plan or intent. Anything above that would be grounds for potentially initiating a 5150. And in that case, we would escalate to MCRT. And at that point, it's under the discretion of MCRT whether or not they would initiate that 5150.
Hi, I wanted to ask, what are your educational backgrounds?
Yeah, so me personally, I graduated from Santa Clara University with a bachelor's in environmental science and public health.
And I graduated from Monterey Bay with a degree in collaborative health and human services with a concentration in social work. I have worked in public health, I've worked at Stanford, and now I'm here. And again, Jessica and I are always receiving constant trainings, relevant trainings to stay up to date in this ever-changing world.
Okay, and what are the backgrounds and the qualifications of the people in the trust vans that go out to assist people? I know that I was told by Supervisor Ellenberg, so she's from the county, she's county supervisor, right? So trust is funded through the county, correct? Okay. To call 988 in regard to homeless persons out on the street that could potentially use services. So I've done that a couple times and had trust come out. And the first thing the dispatcher always asks is, I've called 988 because that's what I was told to call, and then I'm transferred to trust. But one of the questions they always ask is, can you do a warm handoff? So, at first I asked, of course, well, what exactly is a warm handoff? Which is, well, can you be there with the client? So oftentimes these are homeless people that I'm coming across when I'm walking on a public trail or on a sidewalk or in a park. And so they want you to stand by to do a warm handoff. Well, I'm not a trained mental health professional, so I'm always like, well, okay, well I can try to stay around in the area, but I would like to talk to the trust people when they come out to see what they're going to do and so forth. So on one occasion, I at least got an ETA, so I was able to be there with the team when they came to talk to the homeless van. So it was three team members came with the van, and So they talked to the homeless man who'd been moving around on that trail in various stretches for months. And basically he said, no, I'm on a list for, and he said it in front of me too. He addressed me, and they made sure that he knew that I was the one who called. So I was like, hey, I'll own that. I've been trying to get rid of this guy from the trail for a long time, to be honest. I've had it. You know, he had his junk piled up and made people feel very unsafe about using that trail. And so we said, they asked him, I don't know what they asked him honestly, but basically said, I'm on a list for shelter. So what list are you on? Well, he doesn't know. He's not telling the truth. He just doesn't want to be bothered, doesn't want services. So basically they said, well, there's nothing we can do. And I said, well, can you verify if he's on a list for shelter someplace? And they said, oh no, we can't do that because of HIPAA. I don't know what that has to do with HIPAA. Maybe you can explain that. So ultimately all they did was direct the two other volunteers or people, I don't know if they were volunteers or if they're paid, you can address that as well. And they went back to the van and got him a hygiene kit. And then of course he couldn't wait to get out of our reach, and he went off up the trail. So far I have not found your program effective in addressing any homeless individuals so far. So that's 3 strikes so far for the team. No offense, but 3 strikes. So basically you can tell me right now, are you the appropriate people to call for homeless individuals? And if they just refuse services, then there's nothing you can do.
So we're a voluntary program, so what that means is that, again, if they don't want our services, we can't force that upon them. However, we will continue to build that relationship with them when we can, because that's a big part of it, is building the trust with the individual. We don't remove individuals. If they are homeless and they do not want our assistance, again, we leave them with our information in case they want to reach out and they want to get our services. So we're able to make those connections. And again, we'll leave them with a hygiene kit, with water and a granola bar to make sure that they have some basic necessities to continue on. But again, we're voluntary, so if they don't want our services, we can't force them, and we can't forcibly remove them either. It's all about, again, building that trust with them. And our individuals on our team are all trained staff who, you can check back on that slide. Sorry, I don't have the pointer. But again, all those individuals on our team have that training. There we go. Our first aid professional, our crisis intervention specialist, our peer outreach specialist. So those individuals on the team have that training and are able to support the individual. If there's ever times where you make a call and you aren't satisfied with the way that it went, please reach out to us. If it's a situation like they don't want to, again, they're declining our services, we can't push that. But we're always open to that feedback, because we can only progress as a program with feedback. And so that's another reason why we're here, is to be able to have these conversations and to understand what you are expecting out of our program and what we are able to do and how we can assist our community in an appropriate way.
So do you have any kind of coordination with the city and the mayor's office? Because I know he's trying to clear the parks and he's trying to clear the public spaces of the homeless to get them all sheltered and interim housing and so forth. And, I think the policy that he's trying to enforce is, hey, you refuse 3 times, services, then, we're going to escalate and somehow getting you in a system to get in front of a mental health judge or get in front of somebody who's going to, move you along into the system. So do you coordinate? Do you share information? Do you share names of people that you've contacted repeatedly through your program? Is there any kind of coordination between yourself and the city?
So in terms of housing with the city, I would say, again, in regards to HIPAA, we can't share personal private information with other programs. if it's a situation like if we were to escalate to MCRT, that's a continuum of care. So we're able to provide details like that to them. However, we can't go to housing and start divulging information about a client without their consent, without their approval, because that violates HIPAA. So we are in coordination with like the county in the sense that with their behavioral health programs. However, that is about the continuum of care with the program. But we can't just give out information about others like that, again, because of HIPAA.
Okay, do you have any metrics or any statistics on the type of people that you've assisted and any metrics as to your outcomes to support this program that is funded by our tax money? So, do you have some statistics and metrics that you can share?
Yeah, if you would like to email us, we don't have them on us right now, and we're more than happy to share some of our data about, where the calls are being placed. We don't quite have the information of exactly the type of person that calls for our services. In order to do that, that's very complicated within our system. We would have to go through every single note because our data is not structured in that way. And every time we need to add a new bullet point for collecting data, it's thousands of dollars. So we're working with what we have right now. But again, we're happy to share the data that we do have available to us. Again, please feel free to reach out to me and we can.
Yeah, because there has to be some type of accountability, some kind of metrics that can be can be accessible and transparent, especially when the city and the county continue to contract with the NGOs that run the program. I mean, there has to be some type of metric to see what your effectiveness actually is. But I'm sensing that you don't really. Is there a record keeping of these type of metrics and the type of contacts you're making? Because there has to be a certain population that you're serving. And also it captured in that should be some metrics as to the homeless that you're contacting and potentially giving services to.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. So we do collect basic type of demographic information such as their age and their ethnicity. Whether they are unhoused or not is not a data point that we enter into the system because, as Caitie mentioned, adding more filters into the data requires us to contact Salesforce, which then requires more thousands of dollars for them to input that drop-down menu into the system for us to select. So in terms of demographics, we collect things like what the demographics of the person are, like age and ethnicity. And then through our call center, we do have a few drop-down categories such as when they called, did they cancel the service? Did the caller disconnect? Did they get a dispatch where they referred to MCRT? And then if they get a dispatch, then we have another drop-down where it says what the outcome is. So for example, were they stabilized in community? Were they stabilized with transportation? Were they escalated to MCRT? Was 911 activated because of law enforcement or because of EMS? So those are the types of data points that we collect. And this is on a monthly basis where we present the information and findings during our monthly CAB meetings, our community advisory board meetings. And then that's where that data is presented during that time, along with sharing it with the behavioral health department at the county. And then we do have heat maps of showing where we do get more influx of calls throughout the county. And if you're interested in looking at that, that's something that we can share.
I'm absolutely surprised that you wouldn't have somebody who's homeless as a data point, especially since the supervisor, Hellman, is representing you as one of the resources for the homeless population. Yet you don't even you don't record when somebody that you're contacting through your program is homeless.
So we document that in their notes, as in, so our call center team has the option to add notes, which is where they essentially transcribe the call. And then our field team also is able to write down a summary with a lot of detail of how the interaction went. And in those notes specifically, that is where that information lies, but there's no specific drop-down menu because the purpose of our program is to provide mental health and substance use related support and crisis related support. We're not specifically a unhoused program, although we do serve the unhoused folk. They are just one subcategory of the people that we serve.
Yeah, but again, I just don't understand why there wouldn't be data, especially data that you could report back to the county as to the those who are homeless that you are serving. That makes no sense to me. I don't, regardless of what it costs to have Salesforce add that, that option. You're recording people's demographics, their ethnicity, but you're not recording that, they're somebody who's homeless, because that in itself should be considered a crisis point. So why would you not be recording that? I just think that is a big miss.
Yeah, unhoused or on the verge of being unhoused or being unhoused definitely is a crisis point, which is why we do serve that population. And we then transfer them over to the VI SPDAT, which is essentially the system for being in line to receive emergency housing. And so that is where that data would live, of where folks who are unhoused and how many of them are throughout the county and what their process is. But we specifically don't have that because there are more specialized housing programs that do have that information. And then we do not share whether somebody is unhoused or not with providers because that would violate HIPAA.
Because you're a mental health.
Yes.
providing service.
Yes.
So we're more than happy if there's, any other data points you'd like to see, if there's any questions you have. Again, please email us and we can get you in contact with our supervisor who can provide more information, more background. Again, this is why we're here, to be able to understand your concerns and to be able to take that back and build our program.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So if a community member comes across somebody who is unhoused, who seems to be having either substance abuse or mental health issues, should trust be the people that you call first, or is there another organization that could maybe find them housing, be the first line of defense?
That's a great question. So typically we support for mental health, substance use, and crisis related, so we are definitely one of the contacts that you can call. There is another program which is basically the hotline for housing. It's called Here For You, and you are able to call that number as well. However, I want to say that the support that they provide is over the phone, and so if the unhoused person is seeking a person to speak to in person, then Trust can be a team for that.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you all so
Really
much
appreciate
for having us. And I'll leave more of our resources out on the table for y'all, so please feel free to grab them.
Excellent. So just a reminder, December 2nd, we have the County Assessors Forum. Wednesday, December 3rd, 9 a.m. is the director's hearing for the 7-story building across the street. I'll put that out in the next Willow Neighborhood Association newsletter this week.
Is that a Zoom thing or?
It'll be a Zoom, yeah. They're not doing it in person. And that's it for the evening. If you're not already a member, please join, and thanks again for coming out tonight.